And where I want to start is with the Knicks. The reason why a lot of people have Jalen Brunson as an MVP finalist, I don't think he's going to win. I think it's very hard for him to make ground, or obviously it's a regular season award, so it's pretty much over, but I don't think he could have made ground over Shea, over Luka, over Nikola Jokic. But one of the reasons why a lot of people have, and more than likely he received some votes for MVP, is because this is not supposed to be reality right now. When you're first or second, depending on how you shape, actually, there really should be no debate. But when your second best player, when one of your most important players goes down in Julius Randle, when OG Anunoby misses a lot of the season after he gets traded to the Knicks due to injury, and when the makeup of this team does not really resemble a team that should go deep in the playoffs or should make some noise in the playoffs, and then you essentially put the team on your back and carry them to the 2 seed. And now, as we speak, you advance past the 76ers. This is why Jalen Brunson is considered to be an MVP finalist. Or at least, I'll say this. I don't think he's going to be a finalist as far as top 3, but I do think that he is going to receive votes somewhere. The question now, and I think that this is a little hyperbolic, but I understand the sentiment. I understand why people are questioning if Jalen Brunson is the greatest Knick we've ever seen. The Knicks have a long history of great players, let's say. From Walt Frazier to Patrick Ewing, Carmelo Anthony, Amari Stoudemire, Stephon Marbury. There is a lot of great players that have come through the New York Knicks. What I think people love about Jalen Brunson, and why I think a lot of people would put Jalen Brunson in that category as possibly one of the greatest Knicks of all time, is because you can see when somebody is putting a team on his back. When you look at this Knicks roster, especially the Knicks roster that is available, nothing in this roster spells second round of the playoffs outside of Jalen Brunson. Now, yes, if Julius Randle was playing, that would be a different story. But as we've seen, it kind of feels like the Knicks play better when Jalen Brunson is solo. As far as we know, and this is no disrespect to Julius Randle, but Julius Randle is one of those people that thrive with the ball in his hands. So is Jalen Brunson. That was one of the biggest issues with Jalen Brunson in Dallas. He was unable to control the show. He was unable to really show what he's capable of because you have such a ball-dominant player next to you in Luka Doncic. No disrespect to Luka, because we know how good Luka is with the ball in his hand. And there's honestly no disrespect to Jalen Brunson. Even with both of them, they made it to the Western Conference Finals. But when you look, I think it's still a little hyperbolic, and I think that it's a little too late or too early to tell. I'm sorry, but I understand why people say that Jalen Brunson is the best Knick ever. There's obviously a level of excitement, but I will say that he is probably the best free agent signing in Knick history. This is so important for the Knicks. I don't think there's any way, shape, or form that these Knicks make it to an NBA Finals. And we'll talk about the team that I do think will make it out of the East will make it to the NBA Finals out the East a little later. But I don't think that the Knicks have a shot of making it to the NBA Finals. But and obviously there's a level of delusion when you talk about Knicks fans, as far as kind of like Lakers fans. They always think that they have a shot. They always think that this is their year. But what I think is different about this year than other years is when you watch the games and you see how hard Jalen Brunson plays, when you see how hard this team plays, when you see how hard Josh Hart plays, or Dante DiVincenzo, or Mitchell Robinson, I think that there's a level of respect and excitement to this team, even if they don't make it. Because obviously there's Knicks fans that always get upset when they, fall short of winning it all, or even making it to a second round. But this team is different. It is because they have found their perfect point guard in Jalen Brunson, which I think is also hilarious. Because remember, obviously it's been talked about, and obviously it's been brought to light how many people were so against this Jaylen Brown, not just free agent signing, but the contract that he got. And there was a lot of people, and I was probably one of those people that thought it may be smarter to go with Donovan Mitchell, because at the time, and you can even still argue to this day, Donovan Mitchell might be better than Jalen Brunson. Actually, I think the argument is a little bit, maybe you can't argue it today, seeing as though the Knicks did beat the Cavaliers last year. And the Cavaliers, as we speak, I don't know what's going to happen, or what's happening. Or I don't know what happened in the Cavaliers Magic series, but Donovan Mitchell hasn't been great. There's just a level of excitement around these Knicks. And there's a level of connectivity. There's a level of understanding that the Knicks team have with New York. I'm not from New York. I don't live in New York. But when you hear people talk about Jalen Brunson, they talk about him like he's family. And I think that is what these Knicks have been missing, probably since Carmelo Anthony. And even in that, a lot of Knicks fans were upset with Carmelo Anthony because of how much it took to get him and how much they had to give up. But I do have to talk about this as well. And this is one of the biggest reasons why I have said constantly throughout this opening that I don't think the Knicks have a shot to make it to the NBA Finals. Not just because I think that there is a team out there that is obviously clearly better. This series, the Knicks 76ers series, should not have gone 6 games. Yes, on paper, the 76ers have the best player. Yes, on paper, the 76ers are no scrubs. But at best, this series should have went 5 games. And that is the concern that I kind of have. That is the concern that I kind of have with this Knicks team. They have trouble finishing games. They have trouble finishing games cleanly. Now that is sort of a sign of, youth, sort of a sign of a talent gap. And don't get me wrong, all these people are talented, but when you look, I talked about this last episode or maybe 2 episodes ago. The Knicks have thrived in winning moments. The Knicks have thrived in the last, crunch time. Crunch time, most of these games are won because of the Knicks capitalizing in crunch time. Well, they usually have been getting dominated. I'm not going to say dominated, but they have. The 76ers, in my opinion, were the better team They just weren't the better team in crunch time. And we saw that in almost every single win that the Knicks got. Even game 6, the Knicks were up like 20 points. Got hawked down by the 76ers. Had a 10-point deficit. And then it kept going back and forth until the end. And even in the end, the Knicks only won 118 to 115. I just feel like the killer instinct is there with Jalen Brunson, but it's not really there with the entire team, and you kind of feel that. But I'm not here poo-pooing on the Knicks. I think that the Knicks have been incredible, and I think that they have found their point guard of the future, and that's why I say fit matters a lot. They have found their fit. They have found their perfect player in Jalen Brunson. The player that, when he came to the team, was met with a lot of criticism, surprisingly. Now he's leading this team to possibly at least he is so far, let's say, led this team to a second round. Let's talk about the 76ers for a second. Because this is the fear that you have. This is the reason why a lot of people would not have done what Joel Embiid did. Yes, Joel Embiid did have a 50-point game in this series. And yes, Joel Embiid, to his credit, was as good as he could have been due to, seeing the circumstances that he was allotted. But when I talk about Kevin Durant and I talk about him getting swept to Minnesota and we talk about his legacy, this is the fear that people have. This is yet another, again, I understand that the circumstances were different for Joel Embiid. He was injured. Now, that should show you how good he is, seeing as though he was not even close to 100%, still putting up 50-point games and 30-plus point games. But he was injured. He should not have been out there. But that doesn't matter when you make the decision to go out there and play. Now it's on your jacket that this is yet another year that Joel Embiid and the 76ers cannot get it done. Again, I said the 76ers were the better team throughout the duration of most of these games. The only time where the Knicks rose to occasion and the 76ers really faltered was in crunch time most of these games. There is a stigma now, and there is a narrative that Joel Embiid is kind of fueling. And that narrative is your best player cannot be a center and you have championship aspirations. The reason why it's such a complicated narrative is because on one side you have a player that is fueling the narrative in Joel Embiid, and you have a player on the other side that is completely shattering that narrative, and that is Nikola Jokic. You have Tyrese Maxey getting 40-point games. For some reason, I don't know what the hell was going on with Buddy Hield until Game 6 when he just went crazy. But this is the issue. Oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.